With a nightmare unfolding before her eyes, this woman could do nothing more than scream in terror. What she needed now was a hero. This is Miracles in the News. Welcome back to Miracles in the News. You may have seen this crazy video of a woman who is chasing a stroller, and she falls down as this stroller is racing away from her, rolling down a parking lot, heading straight for traffic.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, let me just tell you, it's awful. I can hardly stand to look at it.
It's crazy, yeah.
But it's also amazing what happens. So we have to back up a little bit because the story really starts in 2018 when former truck driver Ron Nessman's girlfriend tragically passed away. And unfortunately, this one event sent Ron spiraling. He ended up being jobless and homeless and destitute for the next 8 years until he finally moved in with his sister into her Southern California home. And here's NBC News describing his situation.
After being homeless for about 8 years and suffering from depression, his goal the last few months has been to find a job.
I'll be honest, when you get on the computer every day and you put in application after application, or you come to a job and you do an interview and you walk away like maybe, you know what I mean, you didn't get the job, it does bring me down. But I know as long as I just stay good and do what I'm doing, things are going to come.
That kind of breaks my heart because you see people who are homeless and, you know, you really don't know their story. You don't know how they got in this situation. And he was really depressed, and I feel so bad for him.
Yeah, I've experienced postpartum depression, and I know how hard it is when you're in that to try and pick yourself up again.
Yeah.
But Ron was at a point where he was starting to feel better and like he wanted to turn his life around. And so he had just had an interview at Applebee's. And after the interview, Ron was sitting with his sister. I'm sure she had come to cheer him on for the interview. And they were sitting on a bench at a car wash next to Applebee's when they heard screaming. And they looked and there was a woman. She'd been putting a baby in a stroller when a big gust of wind pushed the stroller away from her.
It's a heart-stopping moment. A stroller with a baby boy inside rolling straight into speeding traffic. The baby is in the care of his great aunt. Suddenly, she realizes a nightmare is unfolding, but falls as she tries to give chase.
Okay, so to recap, there is a baby heading straight towards 6 lanes of traffic, and his aunt is on the ground.
Yeah.
So scary.
Yeah. And the speed limit is 40 miles per hour. And you know these cars don't really go 40. They're probably going over 40 miles an hour. And in the video, you can see that poor aunt just falling down over and over again.
She must have felt so helpless in that moment. I mean, what a nightmare.
Yeah, it's hard to watch, honestly. And I have had knee surgeries, so I get it, lady. Like, I feel for this woman. It's hard to get up for me sometimes. But Ron Nessman happens to be watching the whole thing, and he doesn't even hesitate. He starts running towards the baby immediately.
Here he is on camera, running over with the Intercept, saving the baby boy before he made it all the way down the driveway and into the passing cars.
Didn't have time to even think about it. You just react.
After this close call, relief for having been in the right place at the right time.
Oh, man. He barely got there, just in the nick of time. I mean, that baby was almost in that street.
Yeah, and can you imagine what was going through that aunt's mind? She probably thought she was going to have to watch that baby go out into traffic and get hit by a car. I can't even imagine how terrifying.
So frightening.
That must have been. And then suddenly this guy just appears out of nowhere and saves the baby.
Yeah, Ron is a hero for sure. I mean, if he had waited just like 1 second, 2 seconds more, hesitated at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's lucky he didn't have lizard brain. He didn't freeze up.
Yeah, seriously, for real. It's a good thing he did not freak out like we do.
Good job,
under
Ron.
pressure. He was amazing. He just ran in, and afterwards, he and some other good Samaritans helped the aunt up. They checked on her. They helped her. Her knees were bleeding, and she was crying, of course. But she was so grateful for Ron.
Yeah, he was definitely the right person at the right time. And in case you're wondering, the baby was also just fine. I mean, he probably slept through the whole thing. He didn't even know what was going on. So he was okay.
Such a miracle for that woman and that baby boy.
For sure.
And, this experience also happened at a really critical point in Ron's life. And KTLA News caught this awesome moment on camera.
Remember how we told you Ron had just come from an interview at Applebee's before he jumped into action? Well, our cameras were rolling when he got a call earlier this evening.
Thank you very much. Well, got the job at Applebee's.
All right.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Thank you, people. I appreciate everything, guys.
Yay, that makes me so happy.
Man. So
we are
awesome.
so happy. Ron, if you hear this, we're so sorry for the loss of your girlfriend, but we just really hope that things have gotten better for you because you really deserve it.
You really do. And I just have to add a reminder for anyone out there, if you have a child in a stroller, make sure you lock those wheels if you're going to let go of that stroller for any reason.
Yeah, I know that she didn't mean for this to happen, but I'm sure that she always checks those stroller wheels now.
Yeah, I guarantee she locks those wheels now.
For sure. You know what this story reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of the time that Dad hit the squirrel.
What?
Okay, so quick side story, real quick.
Okay.
Dad was driving along. He ran over a squirrel and he looks in the rearview mirror and he can see this squirrel dragging itself forward by its front legs.
Oh my gosh.
As its back legs are dragging behind it.
So horrible.
And this horrific scene was going on in his rearview mirror and he's just mesmerized by it. And then all of a sudden, as he's looking at the squirrel, he sees all of these cars like flashing back and forth. And he realizes that he has just driven through a stop sign across the busiest street in town. And somehow miraculously he's survived.
Yeah, that is true. That street is notorious for being busy all the time. And it was just, he said it was like, psh, 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 just, he just saw these flashes of cars. It really is amazing that he made it across there.
It was a miracle.
Yeah, it was a miracle. I'll give you that. But I still can't help but think about that poor squirrel.
I know. It's sad. Sorry.
Well, on that sad note, wait, this is supposed to be the Miracle Files.
Sorry, guys. Maybe the squirrel lived. Maybe he got a miracle.
Maybe he did. Oh, gosh.
You don't know.
Well, hopefully our squirrel story didn't depress everyone. but we're so glad you're alive, Dad.
Yes.
And we have to give a quick shout out to our nephew, Zane, because he asked us for a shout out.
I forgot about that. Hi, Zane.
Anyway, but our next Miracle Files is going to be a wild ride. So remember to subscribe so you don't miss it.
Yeah, our next episode is about a man who had his arm bitten off by an alligator.
Yeah.
And then he had to survive 3 days in the swamp. So make sure you come back for it.
Yep. We'll see you next week for that one. Thank you for joining us. If you have a miracle to share, contact us at themiraclefiles.com or find us on Facebook.
We're now releasing multiple episodes each month. So subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and YouTube for amazing video content as well.
Join us next time as we discover more of God's miracles. And don't forget to look for His light in your own lives.